Hello everybody and welcome to another live edition of Inside GWM. My name is Luke Huysmans, your host as always. A huge thank you for joining us today. This event is like front row access to the world of GWM. Whether you're already a part of the GWM family and community, maybe you're exploring for your first GWM. You could even be a part of our amazing dealer network. Wherever you are, whoever you are, we know you're going to get something out of this event. Since we're live, it's also the perfect opportunity to put your questions to our experts. If something comes to mind, drop it in a comment and we'll try to get to as many of those questions as we can a little later on in our Q&A session. The GWM team will also select their top 3 questions or comments from today's live stream, with each winner taking home an exclusive GWM merch pack featuring a GWM branded hoodie and some other great stuff too. We'll be reaching out to those winners to get their details by the end of next week. So if you'd like to be in the running, get your questions and comments in early. Why not start now? Before we begin, I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land we're broadcasting from today, and I pay my respects to elders past and present. So let's get underway. Today, our main focus is going to be on GWM's new 3-litre turbo diesel engine debuting on Cannon Alpha and Tank 500. Plus, we're also going to take a look at the new Cannon Hi4-T. To discuss all of this and more, joining us from GWM Australia and New Zealand are our 2 regular guests, the Head of Marketing and Communications, Steve Maciver, and Samuel Mulkearns, Head of Go-To-Market and Product Planning. Hello again, gentlemen.
Good to be back, as always.
Great to be back, excited to be here.
Steve, I'm going to start with you. So it's been another big month for GWM. I think every live stream we continue to talk about this amazing sales momentum that just doesn't seem to be stopping right now.
Look, momentum's the key, and good evening everyone. Good to see everyone back, and thanks for joining. Yeah, look, momentum is the key. Certainly July has come off in terms of, for the whole industry, sales volume from the peaks of end of financial year and June that we see every single year. But nonetheless, still a strong month for GWM here in Australia, and of course across the water in New Zealand. So from an Australian perspective, 4,518 sales, which again keeps us 16% up year on year in a market that's flat. So that's allowing us to continue to build market share, which is exactly what we believe these great products deserve. In New Zealand, another very, very positive result, 516 new vehicle sales in July in New Zealand. And what's incredible about what we're seeing there is 44% year on year growth against the market that's just up 10%. So it seems that the Kiwis, like the Australians have been for many years, are now beginning to lean very, very heavily into GWM. So between that sales momentum, having our first pre-launch PR media events for this car here, the 3-litre turbo diesel version of the Cannon Alpha, and of course the Tank 500, and then of course having our Aura Fun Station, where we had a little bit of fun showing how V2L technology can really lighten up perhaps a disused fuel station in Collingwood. It's been an interesting but busy last few weeks, Luke.
Well, let's go into that, because you just touched on the arrival of the 3-litre turbo diesel in both the Cannon Alpha and Tank 500, which is right here. What has the response been so far, not only from Australian consumers, but the media as well?
Incredible is probably, one word that sums it up nicely. We always knew that with this 3-litre turbo diesel engine that we knew had been coming for the last 12, 18 months, that it was going to be important to this market. Australia in particular is a country that values long distance touring, values towing. We've got a huge regional population for which diesel is incredibly important as well. So we knew the importance of this engine, but certainly the feedback that we've had from the media and from potential customers has been incredible thus far. If we think about the customer base, first of all, since launching the pricing, which Samuel give everyone a reminder of very shortly, since launching the incredible pricing in these vehicles, we've already received over 1,000 solid expressions of interest, people looking to potentially buy either the Tank 500 or the Cannon Alpha. As we continue to go through this pre-launch period, we expect that to continue and grow even more strongly. But certainly that gives us the indication that this is a powertrain that's going to be in demand. When we also think about the media reaction, we had 8 of Australia's most prominent our senior motoring journalist down with us in Anglesey at the Australian Automotive Proving Ground about 10 days ago. And we gave them a preview drive of our engineering vehicle, for want of a better term, to get their initial views on what they thought this 3-litre turbo diesel powertrain was like. And again, there's always the caveat that, hey, it's an engineering vehicle, we'll see what the launch vehicle is like. If anything, the launch vehicle is going to be even better. But the feedback, Sammy was there as well, the feedback on the engine was incredible. Every single review that we've seen so far, and I urge anyone to go online and have a look at the likes of Car Sales, Car Expert, Chasing Cars, Drive, Car Expert, the usuals, Cars Guide, has been super positive. One of the journalists talked about how the engine feels like it's driving on molasses. It's so smooth.
That's what you want to read.
Absolutely. But then also, not just the refinement and the NVH performance, but the actual torque delivery. And we've got an engine here that delivers torque lower than most of its competitors, meaning earlier in the rev range and lasts longer, which is exactly where you need that torque to be. So overall, super positive. Can't wait to launch the vehicle in a big way properly next month, but we feel we're definitely on the right path.
That's really interesting, because I've driven a few different diesel engines, and you're right, often you'll put your foot down and you get that quick burst, but then it falls away really quickly. Or the other end of the scale, you put your foot down waiting for the turbo to spool up and kick, and it takes forever to suddenly hit power. So that's a phenomenal achievement.
Yeah, and as I say, we feel we're onto something really special with this engine. We always go into these things with high hopes. We've been invested in it for months and sometimes years. We know the background on the development, which Sam can talk to, but to then see that real world validation come through is super pleasing.
All right, Sammy, so then on to you. So that 3-litre turbo diesel, where does it really stand out against the competition? I mean, let's be honest, let's put it up against vehicles like a Ranger or a Prado. Where does GWM really genuinely have an advantage? Because we know there's a lot of people out there watching going, oh, but Rangers all the way, or I'm only a Mitsubishi kind of guy. Where do you win?
Yeah, so before I put it up against competitors, I might just talk a little bit more to that 3-litre development, because this is the big powertrain that's on show. And when we were going through the development, we really took note of the use cases of these vehicles, where people are towing, where people are off-roading, and we looked at what their requirements were whilst they were running through those typical scenarios. And as Steve mentioned, torque is incredibly important for a big 3-litre diesel or those big diesel engines. It's an output that customers need. So with the development of that vehicle, best-in-class torque was something that was targeted, and that is what we achieved on the 3 litres. So for the Tank 500, we have best-in-class torque of 620 Newton meters, and same goes for the Cannon Alpha.
Tick, win.
Yes, yeah, that's correct. And another benefit that Steve touched on is we also hold maximum torque for a significantly longer period of time versus many of the other competitors in the market. So we have best-in-class torque and held for much longer. This will help you significantly when you're towing, when you're off-roading, even when you're overtaking. You need that little extra bit of power from the engine. It means you're driving comfortably throughout a significantly larger rev range. Incredibly, in addition to the highest in-class torque, we have also achieved best-in-class fuel consumption for both the Cannon Alpha and the Tank 500.
That's impressive.
Incredibly impressive, considering you have the highest output engines in the market. So we've got 7.3 litre fuel consumption on the Cannon Alpha and 7.1 litre fuel consumption on the Tank 500. This is significantly lower than some of the competitors, where we see some of them like sitting around the 10 to 12 to even competitors like the Nissan Patrol can have a fuel consumption of 14 litres per 100k. So it's significant improvement in that space. So I think that with incredible torque and incredible economy, it's an incredible package.
Win.
Win-win, yeah. On top of that, we've also made a significant amount of updates across the vehicle. So it also runs on the new Coffee OS, that's our operating system. So a much faster, snappier, responsive system, better resolution, and I think better user interaction as well.
Sure.
This was something that was also picked up by the journos. You know, we had one journo quote that it's 1,000,000 times better than he's seen before. So this is, it's really positive that not only we've got a better engine, but we've also got a better user experience through the systems that they're interacting with these cars. So I probably had a bit of a long spiel, but if I quickly put it up against some of the competitors, if I put Alpha Cannon up against Ranger, you know, we're seeing a higher torque output, lower fuel consumption, and we also have added added equal-in-class benefits like 3.5-ton towing and triple diff locks. If I look at something like the Tank 500 and I put it up against the competitors like the Prado or the Nissan Patrol, for example, again, best-in-class torque output, lowest-in-class fuel economy, and also the added towing benefits of 3.5-ton, plus that updated user experience with the updated Coffee OS system. Big spiel, but lots of spec to cover on these cars, and there's so much more, but I don't want to take up the whole live stream.
I love it. And most importantly too, this is technology that's been developed and tested in Australia. Those numbers aren't just done in testing conditions, you know, in a laboratory somewhere. This is real world stuff.
I think why that's important. Yeah, I think I'll just jump in quickly, Sam, and you can follow on. I think why that's important is the mantra behind this 3-litre turbo diesel engine is built for Australia. Now, ultimately, Nicole Wu, we said this before, our Chief Technical Officer, made the announcement at our Tech Day, September, October last year, that we would be the lead global market for this engine. Purely because, number one, GWM is now one of the three most important strategic markets for GWM globally. So Australia's right up there within that top 3. But equally, the use cases here, such a broad range of use cases that essentially, you know, if this engine can perform here, it can perform anywhere. But these two vehicles, the Tank 500 and the Cannon Alpha 3-litre turbo diesels, yes, Luke, have done a whole load of local testing. And I think, Sam, between the two vehicles, was somewhere around about the 35,000 kilometre mark over the past couple of months.
Over 40,000
Over 40
kilometres.
now, okay.
Yeah. So we've gone all through the guts of Australia. We've put it on every single road terrain type that we can. That's corrugated roads, gravel roads, asphalt roads,
Potholed roads.
potholed roads. Yeah, a lot you can see around Melbourne. Yeah, we've really taken it through its paces, and not only given it diverse road circumstances, also diverse driving situations. So we've taken it through the snow. We've towed significantly throughout it because, as I said before, these use case scenarios that we were looking at, towing was a big one in mind. So we've done a significant amount of towing with 3.5 tons attached to the back. And Rob Tribbiani, our lead engineer, who is developing AT1 for these vehicles, has done a significant amount of work on the ride and handling, but also he's kind of expanded his role out from more than just the ride and handling to make sure that we're fulfilling the requirements of the customers. So small little nice to haves, like when you're towing, what does your camera angle look like? What are you seeing? Does it work for a very large caravan? Does it work for a small trailer? We've made some small tweaks to make sure the user experience is as best as we can possibly give to the customers.
With a new dedicated towing drive mode too.
Yes, absolutely. So we've given it a new dedicated towing drive mode. And on top of that, I probably should have mentioned this in the specs, these vehicles also come standard with a brake controller. So they're really tow ready for customers.
I bet a lot of people like to hear that. Before we move on and continue the chat, what I'd love to quickly get off you now, because I know a lot of people are suddenly going through all those specs with the Tank 500 going, oh my gosh, that's a win, that's a win, that's a win. Can you refresh us all on the pricing of this? And then I'd love to pick your brains on how that sits against the pricing of, say, an Everest or a Ranger or a Prado that we keep mentioning.
Absolutely. So the Tank 500 enters at an incredible price. There's two variants in the range. The Luxe is the one that is the entry-level model, and that starts from just $65,990. And then if you step up into the Vanta, that comes in at $71,990. To go up to the Vanta, you get the black pack that you see on other Vanta models, but
which looks great too, by the way.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. Yeah, something that I think is really incredible when you step up into the Vanta is you get access to a standard 138 litre combined fuel tank. If you consider a 138 litre fuel tank with an incredibly low fuel consumption of just 7.1 litres, that equates to a driving range of almost 2,000 kilometres.
And if that's not another perfect example of our head office engineers and R&D teams looking to Australia to develop features like that long-range fuel tank, there's not many other countries in the world where you're going to be driving distances potentially of up to 2,000 k's. The fact that we've developed it, and not only that, have made it standard in our top-of-the-range vehicle speaks volumes to the importance of this region to GWM globally.
Well, does anyone else even offer a tank that big? Definitely not as standard, I wouldn't.
No, there's only one other competitor in the market that offers a larger tank. That's the Nissan Patrol that offers a 140 litre tank. However, the fuel consumption on the Patrol is 14.4 litres, so that's twice as much. Yeah. So the range on that vehicle is around the 970 kilometre mark based on their tested fuel consumption rate. So yeah, ours is almost 2,000 kilometres. That's going Melbourne to Sydney and back again on just one tank.
And it's those types of benchmarks that I think we'd be remiss not to point them out, because we've talked about the ways in which this incredible new 3-litre turbo diesel powertrain wins over some of the competitors. Sam has referenced the incredible pricing that we've got on these vehicles, but when you consider them against the competitors of Hilux and Ranger, certainly within the Ute segment, and certainly with Everest, MUX, Prado in that sort of large SUV segment, the drive-away price of our vehicles, with all the technology we've got and in the ways that we win, and we feel we are in many ways a better vehicle than most of those, the drive-away price in some instances could be 10, 15, in some cases $20,000 less than what you would pay for one of those competitors. Now, when you even consider that's purely based on drive-away pricing, when you consider all the features and specification that we pack into our vehicles, that value equation stretches even further. So we've always said, again, if you're thinking about it, get in, have a drive of one of these vehicles, get in the driving seat, have a feel of what these cars offer, and I think over a lot of the competition, people will be able to see and feel that very, very quickly.
Yeah, I don't think it's many cars in the market. I was lucky enough to drive the new Tank 500 3-litre turbo diesel the other day, and I switched on the massaging seats, and I thought, geez, I don't know if there's any cars in the market that have this power output, this fuel consumption at 71,990 with massaging seats.
It's the little things there.
Or as Dennis, of course, one of our product planners who works for Sam, made the point at our preview drive, there's not many cars where you can get a massage in seat when you're doing real extreme off-road driving at the same time. And that's, I think, the real duality of these vehicles. It is luxury in one hand, but incredible off-road capability on the other.
And look, you can't test off-road capability when you go to your local GWM dealer to ask for a test drive, but there is plenty of stuff online from journos that have, so definitely encourage you to look at the reviews of how capable these cars are off-road. And to speak to that a little bit more too, because there has been incredibly strong media coverage around the 3-litre engine, but I also want to add in the @ONE program, which Sam, you just mentioned briefly then. Like, how important, Steve, is this third-party validation, not only for GWM, but particularly when you're trying to establish the brand as a serious competitor, you know, in these segments among such strong competition?
I might jump in quickly. Before we went on a great tangent talking about the incredible value of Tank 500, but I didn't actually let everyone know the pricing of the Alpha Cannon 3-litre turbo diesel. So the Alpha Cannon 3-litre turbo diesel also comes in 2 variants, that's Lux and Vanta. So the Lux variant comes in at an incredibly sharp price of $58,990, and the Vanta variant comes in from just $63,990.
Yeah, incredible.
Again, what a value proposition.
Yeah.
And sorry, folks, these things happen when you're live.
Absolutely.
Sorry, but great pickup, Sam.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll let you guys get back to talking AT1 because that's also an incredibly important point.
Yeah, it is. It's another part of that whole value equation that we talk about is this local tuning and local development. But look, you were asking more about the importance of third-party validation. Now, we work very closely with the Australian and Kiwi motoring journalists. Now, they are some of the best in the world, very experienced, independent, impartial, and they drive hundreds, if not thousands, of new vehicles every year. So generally, when these guys and girls drive our new products and they give their opinion, it's important to a lot of people. The vast majority of people, when they buy a new vehicle, they don't do it based on gut feel or listening to a survey of one. They go out and they speak to relatives, family, friends, colleagues, whoever it might be, but the vast majority of those people will also go and seek validation from one of the third-party websites that we mentioned earlier on. Now, when those third-party websites are able to explain how good or otherwise, is sometimes the case maybe with other products and other brands, whatever a product actually is, it just gives that confidence to the consumer that the path I was on, where I was thinking, this tells me it's the right place to go. And certainly the feedback we've been seeing increasingly on our products, we've seen really solid reviews coming through in the Aura 5 SUV. And again, the early reviews on this, the 3-litre turbo diesel, have done that. So again, we can sit here and we'll certainly talk the virtues of GWM. Yes, we work for the company, we've drank the Kool-Aid, we get it, we hear that, but ultimately, when that third-party validation comes in, that really adds weight to it.
And that's that important. So don't just take our word for it.
Yeah.
Go and sit in one, go and test drive one, go and read the reviews, watch all the videos.
Yeah.
And that's whereby, Rob's work with that one comes in, because we've talked about the media feedback on this great new 3-litre turbo diesel engine that we've got. But for anyone, and if you haven't read them, go and have a look online, watch the videos. But as much as they were really positive about the new engine, there was a huge amount of positive feedback about that localized tuning that we've now put into these new 3-litre turbo diesel engines, our vehicles as well, and ride handling, refinement, all that stuff, again, shows that we're listening to what the market's looking for, and we're making moves on that front.
I think to add to that as well, that a theme that really came through from the journos was we're really receptive to the feedback. We haven't just started with an incredible car. We've developed, we've listened, and going by our own ethos, we've improved little by little every single day to get to the point where the journo is saying, this is fantastic. We said you need this. We said we wanted that. You've listened.
Yeah.
Integrated brake controller, more power, better responsiveness, an Australian tune. They're really excited that we're listening to what they're saying because they're representing the needs of Australian customers.
Yeah.
And even some of that's come from some of you watching right now and in the comments and in the questions that you've left, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. The GWM family is listening, and they're watching, and they're taking that feedback and feeding it back to China, and we're getting some amazing product coming down the pipeline.
That's the result. Yep.
So Sammy, let's move on to this, the Cannon Hi4-T. I believe this car actually just arrived in the country.
It rolled into our car park in the office, and Tate's off camera here, but Tate took delivery of it literally 3 or 4 hours ago, I think.
Just in time.
Yes.
This thing is packed with technology. Can you take us through, what the Hi4-T actually brings to the table, what makes this particular vehicle different, and where it sits within that wider Cannon family?
Absolutely. So before I go deep into the technology, I might just give a quick refresh on the Hi4-T powertrain, because we might have some new listeners that might not necessarily be aware of what that is. So Hi4-T is GWM's proprietary plug-in hybrid powertrain used for body-on-frame vehicles. So its use case is for vehicles where we have kind of more rugged conditions that require a bit more sturdiness, a bit more of a mechanical help, rather than just relying solely on electric systems only. So Hi4-T, just put it simply, H for hybrid, I for intelligent, 4 for four-wheel drive, and T for all-terrain vehicles.
Well, T's essentially, Sammy, again, tank is what it stands for, because ultimately these vehicles on this Hi4-T platform, they're built on the tank platform. So again, anyone who's watched the videos knows the capability of these things. So that mechanical linkage that Sam referenced, that is based on that tank platform. So not only is it efficient, but incredibly capable off-road as well.
Yeah. So to go into the actual spec of the vehicle, it's really impressive package. You know, we have, again, you might have seen the Hi4-T powertrain on the Alpha Cannon, and we've now brought that down into the Cannon range to really give a more affordable price point into an electrified ute. And some of the key specs that we can call out in this car are the incredibly long electric range. You know, we have an electric range of 115 kilometres that's matched only by the Cannon Alpha. So they share the best-in-class range of all utes in Australia, which I think is incredibly impressive. Again, it sits on that Hi4-T powertrain. This powertrain has been absolutely put through its paces. It's not just something that we're saying has good performance. We've seen Hi4-T vehicles go up things like Beer O'Clock Hill, which is a really, you know, a real measure of performance in Australia in terms of ruggedness and off-road capability. So it also, I think a spec that I think I appreciate myself is electrified powertrain also adds V2L capability. So I've probably refreshed a couple of times on live streams, but basically V2L capability is where your car is effectively a portable power source. It gives you the ability to tap into the vehicle's battery to supply power to external appliances. So that's whether you're camping, whether you have had a blackout, whether you, you know, are running an event like this, you can actually run it off the power of the car. So it's great to see some of these technologies come down into a Cannon range because it really makes it much more accessible for the everyday Australian. And in addition to an updated powertrain, we've also updated the operating system on the car. So we've increased the screen size up to 15.6 inches, and similar to the new 3-litre turbo diesel Tank 500 and Cannon Alpha, it also runs that coffee operating system.
We believe that this car here is Australia's most versatile plug-in hybrid ute. Now, we understand that's still a relatively small pack and there are other competitors coming, but to Sam's point, when you factor in that Hi4-T technology, which is incredible for performance and efficiency, as well as that world-class off-road capability that mechanical linkage gives us with Hi4-T, the features, the tech, and we're not going to go into pricing this evening, but pricing isn't too far away. But certainly when you add all those things in, this here we believe strongly is Australia's most capable, most versatile plug-in hybrid ute, and it's also joining what we believe is Australia's most versatile ute range. When you think about two distinct models, Cannon and Cannon Alpha, we've got diesel and Hi4-T powertrains on both. We've got a couple of different body styles in terms of dual cab and then your cab chassis. And again, the range that we've got within there, we believe we've got pretty much the ute for anyone when you think about the Cannon range.
It's almost every powertrain spec possible, which is really interesting because up until now, most ute buyers have really only had the choice of petrol or diesel.
Correct.
You guys have turned around and said, well, why not let's offer everything. What does that say about where you see the market heading in the future?
Look, great question, and again, we've talked before on the podcast about the new vehicle efficiency standard, and there is no doubt it is changing. But one of the reasons that we believe not only Hi4-T in the shape of the brand new Cannon Hi4-T here, but also diesel are important is for a number of reasons. Eventually, more and more vehicles are going to have to be electrified. We know that for the reasons Sam talked about, the V2L capabilities, the performance, the off-road capability, just the versatility that Hi4-T can give you, we are seeing increasing numbers of buyers, not just across ute, but across other body styles as well, veering towards plug-in hybrids, super important. But when you think about how people are still buying vehicles here in Australia today, 6 out of the top 10 best-selling vehicles in Australia last year were diesel powered.
That's a big chunk of the market.
So for us, we believe we've got it covered, certainly in body and frame, which is what these vehicles are here, developed for more commercial or off-road purposes. You know, roughly 70% of that segment is still powered by diesel, so we've got that nailed, but equally we've got the other alternative there in Hi4-T. So wherever your demand is, you know, we've always said we're almost democratizing technology. So regardless of your geographic location, regardless of your life stage, regardless of your profession, regardless of your powertrain preference, regardless of your budget, we've got a vehicle or a powertrain to suit you. And that's what GWM stands for, as choice.
I liked what you did before, Sam, with the Tank 500 and the Cannon Alpha win list.
Yes.
Can you do that quickly for us for the Cannon Hi4-T? Where do you see this winning against its competitors? Because that ute market is extremely competitive.
Yeah, so given it's a new Hi4-T and electrified powertrain, I'll start off with the electrified wins because they're really important. You know, customers are seeking more economical ways to get around. So a longer EV range for the times where you're driving the ute through the city is really important. So again, that matches Alpha Cannon best-in-class ute range of 115 kilometres. Paired with that is an enormous battery size, again, only beaten by the Cannon Alpha. And it has an incredibly long combined range. I think it's actually best-in-class combined range of 1,037 kilometres. So whether you're, again, using that electrified range in the city or you're using, that combined petrol and plug-in hybrid range off-road, if you want to, whether when using the Hi4-T or to a faraway job site, you really get to tap into those benefits. And of course, bring a ute into the market, we have to have all the other ute capabilities. We have to have 3.5 tonne towing. We have to have best user experience running on a new Coffee OS operating system. And we're trying to go a step above where we can. So I mentioned that V2L capability. We thought not one, but 3 plugs in the back in case you need to run, multiple power source or power equipments out of the car. I think combined, if you consider all of these winning specs, you're going to be incredibly impressed with the price.
Well, when we announce that, which is coming very, very soon. Not tonight, but soon. So watch this space.
Very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, gentlemen. That's been another very solid chat as always, but I'm sure that's also triggered a lot of questions and a lot of comments with everyone watching right now. So it's probably a great time to dive into our Q&A. I'm looking, we've had a pretty strong response already. So let's start working through the questions. You guys ready?
Absolutely.
All right, let me find the first one. All right, lads, question number 1. Jamie has asked, what are the charging rates for the Cannon Hi4-T and how long should customers expect a typical charge to take?
So it depends on what you're charging with. With Hi4-T or electric vehicles, you can charge with AC and DC charging. The fastest rate that the Cannon Hi4-T can charge is it can go from 30 to 80% in just 18 minutes. Off the top of my head, I think if you're doing an AC charge, we'll go full battery in under 18 hours. But yeah, again, it depends on what electric output you're using, but DC charging 30, 80%, 18 minutes is incredibly quick if you're looking at electric vehicles.
Where do you keep all these figures, Sam? I'm always impressed. Okay, let's see. Okay, this one's not a figure-based question. Okay,
Good.
Emma would like to know, will we eventually see a fully electric GWM ute in Australia? I don't think anyone does a fully electric ute yet, do they?
Yeah, there has been.
Some with some very low ranges.
Oh, correct.
Yeah.
Others with very low range and very high price. So it's not something that the market's veered towards yet within the ute space, but good question. GWM has been working on one for the last few years now. It hasn't yet seen the light of day in terms of being released anywhere, but again, it's something we are working on. Never say never, but it's not just there yet for the time being. We believe that diesel and plug-in hybrid in the shape of Hi4-Ts are the right options for the market right now.
Well, come on, it's the only powertrain you're not offering yet.
As I said, never say never.
Okay, Chris would like to know, what will customers notice first when they get behind the wheel of the new 3-litre Cannon Alpha?
Yeah, I'm happy to grab this question. So I think similar to the journos, a few things will come to mind. Firstly, would just be the responsiveness of the engine. So there's been a lot of work in making sure that there's no lag when you're putting your foot down. And something that was surprisingly called out by the journos as well was actually the quietness of this engine. You know, it's a big 3-litre turbo diesel, but it doesn't sound like one. Going up against the competitors, it's significantly quieter. So if these customers are going from another turbo diesel engine, I think that'll definitely be something they'll notice at the start. And lastly, they'll obviously notice the performance. It's got high kilowatt output of 170 kilowatts, high torque output of 620 newton meters. So they'll really feel that when they're driving the car.
And taking that question quite literally, something else that everyone can't fail to notice is that huge 15-inch or 14.6-inch screen right to the left of the driver as well, which is a cracker.
With the new Coffee OS.
Indeed.
Okay, we've got a comment from Bernie. I've said this many times now, but my Cannon Alpha PHEV Ultra Spec has been the best car I have ever driven. So firstly, thank you, Bernie.
Nice.
It is a fantastic vehicle. Is it true that the engine or drivetrains are engineered in Austria?
There is an R&D centre in Austria. So GWM has got a global product development sort of cycle. The engines themselves are generally engineered and built in China. They are GWM proprietary engines. We're very, very proud of that. Not just our engines, but sometimes our transmissions as well. But certainly Austria, Korea, I don't think Korea is there, but Austria, China, certainly development happening here. There is a global footprint in terms of that development, but I would say China is probably the main area where that happens.
I would also say, when we say engineered, well, they're engineered globally. So we have engineers also come down from China to Australia. They work with Rob, and they also put the vehicle again through its paces here. So it's a global engineering program, but China based.
Sort of like that saying, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a globe to engineer a car.
That's it.
I mean, ultimately, we are a global auto brand, and as such, you've got to take feedback and understandings of how the different regions work. And Austria certainly is an important hub for us in Europe.
Love it, Bernie. Great comment and question. Drew, I'm headed to the National 4x4 show in Melbourne this week. Will you guys be there?
We will indeed be there. So yeah, we look forward to seeing you and everyone else there. We've got a couple of interesting vehicles on display, including this bad boy here. So yeah, we're looking forward to seeing everyone down there.
Can people jump in them at the show?
Absolutely. Yep.
There you go. So if you really want to get up close and personal with them, head down to the show. Rachel would like to know, are we ever going to see a Cannon owners group from GWM?
Yeah, possibly. We've obviously been running the Tank Owners Club for a while now. That's a great question from Rachel. We haven't quite got our act together yet, pulling something together dedicated to Cannon. There may be a world in which we move to a bit more of a wider GWM club that certainly may incorporate Cannon owners as well, but we certainly get a really passionate, loyal Cannon owner base that we'd love to do something a little bit more for.
I don't know why you haven't yet. You've got so much time, spare time up your sleeves. Again, remind everyone watching, how many launches have you got between now and the end of the year?
Well, I think
incredible amount.
If we're not counting the Aura 5, I think we've still got another 8 to go between now and the end of the year. So not a lot of spare time
to keep us busy.
So,
yeah.
Great question, Rachel. Thank you. Buddy has asked, what does the new 3-litre diesel bring to the Tank 500 specifically for customers doing long distance touring or towing?
Yeah, so I think a combination of things. As I touched on before, we have again that built-in tow mode, and we put in a significant amount of development into tweaking the towing experience for drivers. And on top of that, they're going to get all the benefits of that new engine. So in addition to Rob's tune, they're also going to get that extended power, that additional torque. So the pulling power is really there because, again, best in class torque of 620 newton meters. They're really going to feel like their towing is effortless versus any other car that they're coming from.
Fantastic. Trevor. Ooh, this is a good one. Thank you, Trevor. Are you looking at a diesel hybrid for future models?
Great question, Trevor, and the answer is yes. So diesel hybrid and diesel plug-in hybrid are two new powertrains which we have confirmed are already under development for launch here at some point for Australia and New Zealand. So yeah, watch this space. We'll share more information when we can, but yeah, we're certainly looking at those as additions to our powertrain selection here also.
Just some more powertrains to add to the lineup.
That's it.
Okay, from Sunita. When is Cannon PHEV releasing?
So Cannon PHEV, as we said, first car today arrived in. This is one of our early pre-production models we've had delivered here to help us sort of put together our final marketing assets and whatnot. But it will be launched, and we expect those cars to be arriving from full production phase and shipping from probably late September, early October at this stage, Sam, correct?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
So within the next 5 to 6 weeks, so very shortly.
Excellent, exciting times.
It is.
Very exciting.
Ben would like to know, how does the Hi4-T perform off-road, and does the electric power change the way the Cannon responds at low speeds?
Yeah, so sitting on the Hi4-T powertrain, we have really strong off-road performance. As I mentioned before, we've taken quite a few Hi4-T vehicles up Beerclock Hill, which is a good measure of off-road performance. And where you're going to feel it is you're going to feel the electric assist from the motors. So at low speeds, you obviously are using the engine to power the vehicle, but you actually have electric assist, and you feel it from a torque side where you have quite a smooth and refined drive. Another added benefit is when you're back on the road, you can actually drive electric only, which I think is pretty impressive because you get all the benefits of off-road driving with the economy of an electric vehicle.
I love that. You can just drive all day, charge it at home, not touch a drop of fuel.
That's
And
it.
don't forget, you can actually drive off-road in pure EV mode in one of these vehicles if you want to as well. So, you know, the ability to go out into the countryside, on a trail, wherever, and do it silently is something, again, which is pretty unique to these cars.
Very
Absolutely.
unique.
Okay, comment from All-Star. Given the 3-litre diesel has a strong focus on touring and towing, what real-world fuel consumption figure can owners expect highway towing a 2.5 to 3 tonne caravan at around 100 kilometres per hour?
Okay,
That
Mr.
is
Numbers, you can handle this one, Mr. Numbers.
that's a great question, but a really good question.
Yeah.
I mean, I had quite a few numbers off the top of my head. That one's probably a bit more complex, but it's definitely something that that we're looking at, because it's important for us to understand the use case scenarios of those customers towing with a 3-litre turbo diesel versus towing in a a Hi4-T plug-in hybrid. So although I can't answer that off the top of my head, I'll probably have to come back to you on that one. But it would definitely be being studied by us. I just can't say off the top of my head.
And we probably have some local numbers, again, that we don't have them, here right now, but we've done with all those, was it 30 or 34,000 Ks worth of testing?
40,000 kilometres of testing, yeah.
A fair bit of that was actually on towing tests as well, so real world fuel consumption would have been part of the mix there, so yeah, maybe we could dig that out.
And maybe that's a great video idea. If you'd like to see us do a video on all the different powertrains towing a 3.5 tonne caravan at 100 kilometres per hour, find out the fuel results,
Absolutely.
let us know. Let us know in a comment. Jensen, what's one thing you think customers might overlook about these new powertrains that they should experience for themselves on a test drive?
I'll take that one. I think just quickly, Sammy, I think for me, we've talked a lot about the torque and the torque delivery of these engines, and ultimately, you're never, we can keep telling you that till the cows come home, and we absolutely believe in it, we've experienced it, but you're never going to get to feel that unless you drive it yourself. So certainly, Jensen, I'd suggest that get in, take one of these things for a drive, and you will feel that torque immediately.
Great segue to the next question from Rajneil, sorry, hope I got that correctly. When will 3-litre diesels be in showrooms?
So again, 3-litre turbo diesels, Sam, I think the first shipments arrive within the next couple of weeks.
They'll be landing very, very soon.
Yep.
They're on their way.
Ships are not too far away. Again, we don't have the exact shipping manifest on us right now, but again, you can already book in a test drive with your local dealer. They'll have a view on when cars are arriving into their showrooms very, very shortly. So yeah, we'd urge everyone to do that.
Let the dealer do all the hard work. Leave your name and number and they'll contact you.
I think we can say definitely within September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Andrew has a question. Cars look great, but when is the Tank 700 coming, and with what drivetrains? And what about the Tank 400?
Tank 400 and 700 questions, they always come up, and we get why. They're two incredible vehicles. We said before, We're looking at them. We'd certainly love to have them as part of the portfolio here. We can't announce timing yet. They're not yet confirmed for Australia. There are a couple of powertrain options available to us. Again, we've got to make decisions on that. But look, we will certainly be sharing on the usual channels as soon as we possibly can.
It would be amazing to see that in Australia, though. Just I'm speaking for myself selfishly here. So
They are pretty exciting models. I think GWM has a good, quite a good portfolio.
again, more powertrains. We want them all. Paul, is the 3-litre single turbo or twin turbo? Oh, great. I don't think we've discussed that.
The 3-litre single turbo, I believe.
I think it's single turbo. I think it's variable sizing turbo.
It's a variable geometry
variable geometry
turbocharger,
turbo.
but it's a single turbocharger.
Yeah, which means it can vary the geometry to more efficiently deliver
Boost where you need it.
boost to the engine under different rev ranges.
Yeah. That's why you get that.
Which reduces the lag and allows you to hold the torque throughout a higher RPM range.
So those of you not familiar with what a VGT or variable geometry turbocharger is, if you think about your common garden hose, if you stick your thumb on the end of your garden hose, the smaller you make that hole, the higher the pressure goes through. And a variable geometry turbocharger works in much the same way, in that vanes inside the turbocharger open and close. When you need more boost down low, the vanes close to get more pressure through, and they open up as you go through the rev ranges from there. So again, smart technology, not necessarily anything new. They've been around for a while, but certainly deployed on this vehicle to allow us to get the most torque and the most boost out the whole way through the rev range.
And the variable geometry turbo also helps us achieve that incredibly low fuel economy of just 7.3, I think it was, for the Cannon Alpha and 7.1 for the Tank 500.
Yep.
Okay, we've got a comment on YouTube from Zishan. I have seen so many real owner reviews about PHEV fuel economy, I'm assuming. 2 to 3 litre is imaginary. Why not GWM share real world economy of GWM Cannon Hi4-T after first 100 kilometres? Can we please get an explanation of these? And interestingly enough, Bernie's followed up that question with his own comment. If you're traveling at 110 kilometres uphill, then yeah, like most cars, the economy vanishes. Do you want to maybe talk about that real world fuel economy?
That's a really great question. And look, fuel economy is going to vary according to your usage cycles and not only how you drive the vehicle, but also how frequently you charge the vehicle. So technically, I could leave here today and I could drive for the next month. I drive to work about 40 kilometres. I could drive to and from work every single day, EV only, because in the Hi4-T, for example, it's 115 kilometre EV range. So if you are charging the vehicle, you're reaping all the benefits of an electric drive where you don't actually need to use your engine. However, conversely, if you're not charging the vehicle, obviously you have higher fuel consumption. So it really depends on your usage situations. When the battery depletes fully, your plug-in hybrid essentially just turns into a hybrid vehicle. So you still get the benefits of better fuel economy, but you can't necessarily take a single usage scenario and apply a single usage scenario and have a specific fuel economy, because you need the context of whether or not you're charging. So just like I plug my phone in at night, if I plug my vehicle in at night, I can have all the benefits of it. So again, you might see different consumption rates or consumption feedback rates from different customers, because they're obviously driving differently to how I might drive it, to how you might drive it, to how Steve might drive it. So it's a really hard question to answer. But again, to maximize the savings, I would just recommend that you charge your vehicle as often as possible to maximize that electric driving range.
And so just as a real kind of black and white statement, 2 to 3 litres is definitely not imaginary. And some people have claimed that they've got even lower than that.
Let me give you a real world example of that. And this is an example I've used before. So my partner is in a PHEV at the moment, a Hi4-H6. Been in that car now for probably the best part of 7 months or thereabouts. And within that period, she's only had to refill the whole fuel tank for the second time. Now, admittedly, her commute is relatively short, but she does go longer distances at the weekends. but that car is almost exclusively being used in EV mode because of the way she's charging it and the way she's using it. And as such, her real world fuel economy is way less than the stated number. So again, to Sam's point, it does depend on how you're using it. But ultimately, if you go longer and you're going longer than your pure EV range, you are going to have to use your engine, which is going to use some fuel. But again, if you maximize the charge, as Sam said, that number will be low.
Our director, Mitch, has even dropped in a comment. So our director put his money where his mouth was. He fell in love with the Cannon Alpha, and he bought one for himself. And he drove here EV only, and he's done over 34,000 kilometres on it in the first year. And so he'd be one that could definitely claim to have got some pretty low, low fuel mileage on that. Paul again has asked, does 3 litre or Cannon PHEV come in anything but black and white?
I know
How
all
many
the
colours?
numbers,
Go.
but I'm trying to remember all the colours off the top of my head. Do you know the complete colour range?
Yeah, I believe we've got gold, we've got white, we've got black, there's a silver. I think that's it. There's certainly a silver, there's certainly a gold, there's certainly a black.
Certainly more than those 2 colours.
Yes, correct.
I'm all numbers out towards the end of
easy
the live
option,
stream.
jump onto the GWM website, GWMANZ.com. Jump onto the model pages. We've got a build and price tool for all the models on there, and you'll get to see more details through there as well. Certainly with these brand new models as well, those pages are still sitting within sort of pre-launch phase right now, and certainly over the coming days and weeks, they'll continue to be built out with much more information as well.
And I mentioned it earlier, in Vanta, they look amazing. Sorry, I had to get that in with the blacked out grille and everything. Sorry, I've gone off topic.
Something I might add as well is, in addition to exterior colours, there are also some interior colour options on the Tank 500.
There you go. So jump on the website. That's the short answer. Final question from Bernie. Will we see an off-road ground in the same vein as the Tank Club for Cannon Alpha? So I think we did sort of cover that earlier. It'll be watch this space.
Yeah, look, we're certainly not ruling anything out. We think it's a great idea. The more suggestions we have like these, we can certainly take action on it. Tank Club's been a great success, but we are looking to try and expand the community in some way. So adding our Cannon owners into the mix on those off-road adventures that we have regularly would be a great addition to that. So we'll have a look at it.
I think the thing is that if you guys want something like this, be vocal about it. Put comments in the videos, let us know, because we, trying to fulfill the needs of the customers.
Absolutely.
And speaking of which, if you're sitting there right now, they've mentioned Tank Club a few times. What exactly is it? Jump onto the YouTube channel, because we've got some great video content on the Tank Club all around Australia, where owners like yourselves can really get an understanding of what it's like to drive off-road, how capable the cars are, and how capable you can be off-road too, and what lifestyle that opens up to you when you purchase one of these vehicles. So can recommend. On that note, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
Once
again, we better wrap it up.
Thank you again, Luke.
We can talk like that, and suddenly the better part of an hour disappears. A big thank you, as always, to all of you watching. If we didn't get to your questions, or you've got more that you want to ask or find out about, please continue to leave them in a comment on whatever platform you're streaming this on. The GWM team is monitoring those chats and will respond to you as soon as they can. Our 3 competition winners will be notified by the team by the end of next week. So watch out for that announcement. You never know, it could be you. If you'd like to explore the GWM range, book a test drive, find out what colours certain vehicles are available in, just visit GWMANZ.com for all the details. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of these live streams. Whether you're new to GWM or whether you're a long-time supporter, we appreciate having you with us for all of these events. So thank you. Keep an eye on the website and social channels for all the updates, including information on when our next live event will be in September. And until then, drive safely. We'll see you next time.